Hello, this is George Sandman. I'm the founder and CEO of Growth Drive. And Growth Drive is a system used by business advisors to drive client profits, growth, and value. Now, we're also a community. Every week we get together to talk about all things business advisor, everything clients, cases, things we're seeing out in the world. Now, tune in here to this podcast, and you can join the conversation by scanning this QR code, passcode 867-5309. Jump into the conversation. Everyone's welcome. We're looking forward to having you. So here we go. On with the show. So guys, before you came on, I was sharing first thing. I hope that you guys can make the Madison webinar later today. It's at 2:00, and it is meaningful. This is not. It's meaningful planning.
2:00 Eastern, 1:00 Central.
Eastern. Yes, sir.
There's only Eastern Standard Time.
So I'll put that.
It's Eastern Daylight Savings.
What they're doing is unique and complementary to all of, can be helpful in any engagement with a business that is generating cash and making tax mitigation decisions that don't inure to increasing the value of the business. I'll just leave it there. And so if you can make it, please, it's going to be great. Think of this as a studio audience. I'm going to beat the drum for these guys loud and long.
Will it be recorded, George?
It will be recorded.
I've got a client.
Hey, Tim,
call
how are you, man?
I'm doing good. I have a client call already scheduled at that time.
Oh, something more important. Fine, like clients.
Matter of fact,
yeah. Well, Tim, this actually goes to an ongoing conversation you and I have had. I was sharing with Mike that. So, I was talking about software. If we think about software think about a business as an engine, think about software as an engine, and AI as the oil that we can pour through to make all the parts work together and generate better outputs. I like that analogy. So we're investing time in creating. So we have Claire 2, which, but for a redirect issue, we're moving to the strategic capacity.ai URL. We want to make sure that the redirect is bulletproof before we mess up your lives. So strategic capacity.ai. And Claire 2 can already do some insane things. Tim, you were one of the people on the let's kick this can around. Let's ask it. So let's try to stump the chump. And she gets better every day. So that's going to be released to you. What else are we doing? We're already we're doing a couple of things. You're going to see Plod, not Claude, Plod AI. This guy integrated and Zoom, and we're integrating those to be able to bring in that distributed data, like imagine having all the conversations you had with your client available to the AI so that it can pull from those conversations as well, and it up to you, right? Integrate them into analyses, deliverables, blah blah blah. Cool. What's the next thing we're going to do? Well, we are using Claude, not Plod, for deliverables. Have you noticed, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that OpenAI is saying, wow, our answers look like, so we better improve how they look. When we say we're going to generate a PDF, maybe we should make it look pretty. So, and they're moving in that direction, and we will continue. OpenAI for analysis is fantastic. Claude for analysis is fantastic, and for deliverables has a definite edge right now. So we're adding an Anthropic powered deliverable generator, but infinitely dynamic, right? To Clarity. Okay, well, that's cool. Well, what else are we going to want to do? Well, we are going to want to give you some workflows that you can trigger, and so that Claire will offer you a workflow, and she's not going to say it in those technical terms, but we have 6 workflows that, and there will be more, but these 6 workflows, because they morph into agents, these 6 workflows are everything from the strategic, confirming strategic intent, and then imagine having AI then fill out the one-page strategy planner and give it to you. That's where I mean morphing into agents. So that's doing something. Agents do. So, and I'm just going to stop there. There is we're moving incredibly quickly to make to bring more efficiency to your worlds and to help you continue to deliver. Where's Mike? He's somewhere here in this row. Mike, maximized ROI to your clients. So that's what's going on here. And I couldn't be more excited. Okay, I'll stop.
George, is there going to be so having all that stuff is awesome and it sounds great. How about making sure we know how to use it?
Nah, we don't want that, Tim. No. Yeah, absolutely, man. So a couple of things. I'm just waiting to a logical point. I wanted Claire 2 to be in the market. Many of you are using Claire resident in OpenAI. We are Claire resident in Clarity, so you no longer have to, we're just bridging the gap. As soon as
I
that's
mean, I'm one of those people. So I've been using Claire through OpenAI, and I've been creating stuff from OpenAI and PowerPoint and stuff. The stuff you showed me the other day that you were doing with Claude and Google Slides and all that was just amazing. But it would help me to see somebody actually do that, is make the cake while we watch and for any of these things. And so if we could plan on that, either having that be available through some kind of an online tutorial, or maybe we can do a live session where we just create those outcomes.
100%, Tim. And what we'll do is we'll have a workshop, which is, an interactive training session. That'll be, it'll be it'll be longer than an hour. And I know we are not going to wait until October, but on the morning of October 5th, we will do a half-day technology deep dive that I will lead. And so, and that is for the benefit, how do we answer your questions in the room, surface the questions that are in the room, address them, and really just continue to sharpen the spear. So, or the sword, or the whatever.
Implement.
Not to be violent. Yeah, shovel.
Hey, Jim, how are you? It's good to see you.
Jim?
How's it going? Good to see you too.
Oh,
Coming out of my hole.
hey, Mr. Frankenberg. I'm like, Jim, where's Jim? I don't see. I need to change the way I view
We
this
haven't
thing.
seen Frankenberger in a long time.
Mr. Frankenberger.
He's
Awesome.
working on his campaign for Virginia governor, I think is what he's been doing.
Oh.
There we go.
Living in Maryland, it's really great to do that. Yeah.
Jim, start in Roanoke. That's the place to win the governorship.
Yeah, especially
There you
after
go.
the
So what's
name of the state. So
Lieutenant Governor after Mike Harris.
yeah.
So I'm going to run around the horn here. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Always good.
I get that. I know. One of the many things I like about you. Anything new, exciting? Any questions?
You're asking me specifically?
Yeah, why not?
No questions. I actually just had a very good call last week with Kurt Murphy.
Oh, great.
Good guy.
So
Yeah,
we actually one of the clients that I do have actually he knows very well. So we had a very interesting conversation. See if there's a way for us to collaborate on that as well.
I love that. Awesome. And thanks for sharing that. Kurt's a great guy. Very cool. Who am I going to pick on next? How about Jim? Jim, you've been MIA. How's everything in your world?
MIA. Yeah.
Well, that's in action, right? In action.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Inaction,
AWOL.
That's right. That's right. Right. No, things are going well. Things are going really well. And Mike, I appreciate you reaching out a little while ago and I guess maybe doing the pulse check, and appreciate that. No, things are going really well. It's starting to get my feet under me. I just, for everybody else's benefit, I just went independent in October. And so pretty much right after the summit, was so jazzed up, just went out and just said, what the hell, and throw it up. Right. So no, it's been really good. Had a, I'd say 90% of the clients that I wanted to come over came over with me, which is great. And it's been fantastic. I've got more engagements now with different business owners. I haven't done the clarity engagement as much with them as I would want to, but it's like a work in process with some of those folks. And then with some of the newer ones, I have used Mike's initiatives of saying, hey, throwing it out there for the qualifier of, here, $1,000, let's do this. And I've gotten a couple of bites on it, but I haven't gotten the revenue through yet. Bites are solid, so the conversations are moving. So I'm happy about that.
Awesome.
No, but things are really moving well. I really appreciate your asking, and I always appreciate the support. And sorry for being a little MIA, to use your word.
Oh, no need to apologize, man. Love to have
I've been a voyeur on the back end of this, is listening to the Klatches and doing all that stuff, and I get a lot out of it. So it's great.
It's interesting, Jim. Very consistent and consistently growing viewership of this. We put this out as a podcast, and so yeah, thanks, Jim. I'm gonna pick on Joe next. Joe, you got a book coming out, right?
Just reviewed the cover last night. It was pretty
Awesome.
exciting. And we actually, Ed and I just wrapped up a BEI March team meeting. We had 9 people in the audience. We're up to 6 signed members now, so we're gaining good. And today was conversation was business continuity and having a tough conversation with the owner. Exactly what we are trying to do with the tools. So continue to see a huge parallel universe that can be connected with your efforts with Fletcher. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I see the synergy that you saw 2.5 years ago, whatever. So
Yeah, it's that's awesome, man. And I had a conversation with Fletch. Fletcher is the CEO of BEI, and he was really excited about what you guys are doing. And I love the title of the book. Do I have is the owner dependence tax, or the owner's
dependency tax.
dependency tax? And that I'm in violent agreement. And I love how you've positioned it as a tax, because it is. It's a tax on growth.
Let's go get your refund.
Let's go get your refund. I like it. It's that time of year,
It's
man.
as simple as that,
Yeah, absolutely.
I imagine that's going to come out. You'll have that posted out everywhere where we can get our copies to be able to give to all these people who want to be tax free, right?
I'm just, as Mike Garrison and I talked, and said, dealing with the attention and understand how to manage it. So I'm working with a team right now to be able to take in some of the non-qualifying, but yet still interested folks that could benefit. And and scale, and I'm probably over my skis a little bit thinking wise, but I really don't want to work that much that hard. So I got a technology partner I'm talking to about helping out. So
Awesome.
What's a
yeah, eventually I'll post it in chat there.
Do it.
Once I get my access figured out.
Joe?
That's
Joe,
what I'm looking for. Is the date.
What's the publication date, Joe?
We're looking at September.
Okay.
Perfect timing. I got asked yesterday, BEI, I don't believe, as far as I know, they haven't finalized the date. They may have. It could be on their website. But they'll be late September, so a couple weeks before our summit as well. Sweet.
Is that gonna be Denver?
In Denver again this year, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I will be there.
So they haven't set the date yet, George?
Somebody can ask AI if they've said it. I have my weekly meeting with Fletch, and we just didn't discuss it last time we got together.
Sure, that's fine.
And
They're
George,
zeroing in on a date. I think that I don't know. I won't. I know what it's like. And those of you who have set these things, getting the hotel, getting the contract, blah blah blah, and it's a process. So, by the way, we are contracted. The Lindy Renaissance, October 5th, 6th, and 7th here in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina, and I anticipate selling out. So as we start publishing things, I'm not joking that there is scarcity. It is not a huge hotel, and
So,
and
hey, if you're a sponsor, are you automatically registered so you don't have to worry about it?
nah,
Okay.
not. I mean, other sponsors, yes, but you not so much.
Okay, good. So,
Continue to go around the horn. Tim, you're sitting in the middle of the screen, so I'm going to keep going around the horn. I'm going to pick on Eric. Eric, man, what's going on? What's happy in your world?
We're having a really good year. We're 3 clients deep already, new clients for the year. One is an electrical contractor who approached me because he wanted to learn about ESOPs because they had some key employees saying they wanted ownership or they might leave and go work at data centers. And so we sat down to tell him about ESOPs and helped him realize that ESOPs weren't the right thing, and then started talking about other options. And we're working on that. We're working on some new accounting stuff for them. We're working on some new operational stuff for them, engage them. We had another client who just got an LOI out of the blue and wanted to review it and go over what the options could be. And then we've got a third client that needs a level 1 assessment, and how do they, what's their valuation, and how do they start getting prepared and positioning themselves to exit their business in the next 3 to 5 years. So
Awesome,
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's good news. You just put me in mind of something. And if you, Jemiah Battle, good morning, man. You're just in time for me to pick on you.
Morning, guys.
If I can help, if you are looking for someone who has a profound expertise in synthetic equity, succession planning, etc., you can, of course, post it in the community, and I'd be happy to help with that as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know you've got this well in hand, and
No, I'm always looking to talk to
embrace
people,
this.
and I freely admit I don't know everything about everything, right? So I know a few things, and I'd like to know more. So love to meet
Awesome.
somebody who can talk about those kind of things, and I've got some resources in that I know nationally and in locally in Milwaukee. So, but love another resource.
Cool. Great. Well, we have a bunch of people in the community. I'll make the connection.
Yeah, good.
I'd love to. Yeah, promoting that's awesome. Good. And congratulations on your growth. We're up here at Growth Tribe significantly, as you guys
Yeah.
know. Okay, who have I not picked on yet? Tony's joining us. Oh, well, maybe that's my prompt to pick on Tim and Tony. Guys, I'm really excited to come up and see you. We'll have a good time.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So our update, we're only running, I think, maybe 3 clients behind Oak Hill Advisors so far this year, the Oak Hill Business Partners. So we're right on their heels. But we're flying this guy up from South Carolina next week. Supposed to be good in a room full of people. We've got, I think right now, as of yesterday, we've got 17 people lined up for 16 spots. And the deck that you've done, George, is just amazing. You got to show us how you did all that with Claude and Claire and everything. So that'd be great. But we're about half of our room is our business owners who have an interest in what we're doing. They've already expressed an interest. They're familiar with it. And so they're coming to find out more. The other half are COIs, companies that we can plug into. And that's kind of our preferred business model. I've mentioned on these calls previously that those are our super who's. So our business development priority is, yeah, certainly we're willing to talk with business owners who may benefit from working with us, but our our priority, our strategic intent is to work with companies that have a book of business owners that they can feed us as a trusted referral, so that we can go to work and help double the value of their businesses. So we're going to be grooming those people, the COIs in the room, to want to do a similar marketing event with us for their clients. At the most and at the very least, start feeding us people. So we're excited about that. All guns are trained on that event next week.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. And super valuable. Fun sounds like I'm making light of it. I'm not. I just happen to get a real charge out of these events. It's going to be fantastic. And for the gentlemen, it's all gentlemen today, gentlemen, and ladies. Those of you out in the ether, if you haven't met Tony yet, those of you who were at our summit in 25 may have met Tony. Tony has forgotten more than I will ever know about a lot of these topics. So it's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, Georgia. I'm sorry to hear that I have a bad memory. That's a shame.
No, I'm the one with the. I see what you're saying. You know what I was saying.
I know what you're saying.
Tim, I'd be
It sounds like
happy
an
to be
argument with my partner. Like, that's not what I meant.
Tim,
I know what I said, but that's not what I meant.
Tim, I'll be number 18 if Tony will send the corporate jet up to pick me up.
Got it. He might be flying back from California with it, but maybe he can stop by Milwaukee and pick you up.
Yeah, right. We're right on the
If he
way.
remembers to.
Yeah.
But Juan Valdez has a mode of transportation that you can just going to have to cut a switch, whip that donkey. So, all right, who? I'm leaving Ed. I've got Jemiah. Jemiah, man, how are you? Hey, by the way, Jemiah, I think this is your first time back. I'm sorry about your father.
Man, I appreciate it, George. Appreciate the community. How everybody doing? Pretty good. I was on the call last week, but it was on the second half. I think I believe that you had to go for a point.
Yeah.
Doing pretty good, man. Ramping up in Atlanta, mostly full time now. But same thing Tim said, not trying to find, but building the relationships with COIs and ways to serve them and their communities, and also ramp it up. And getting more clarity ones done just to show the value of it too. So things are moving forward, absolutely. And loving the work you're doing, Tim. I've been following it too. And I also can't see if I see Mike on the call too. Had a chance to read his article this morning. Very, very insightful though.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, Mike, I started reading it and I decided that trying to jam it into 4 minutes was probably not doing it justice, so I stopped.
You need
I
at
will
least
read it.
15.
I'm glad to hear Mike is doing something insightful. That's good.
Me too.
Bam! Below the waterline. Awesome, guys. Well, what's on everyone's mind? Thank you for sharing, all of you. I really
I had another
appreciate it.
question, if I
Please,
could.
Jim.
Tim, whenever you were talking about the event that you're doing next week, the traction that I've been getting a lot has been on a couple of my commercial banking partners, and also there's an outsourced COO and another coach, like kind of a coach, more like an executive coach type person, each independently, where we're looking at different things. One of them, we're looking at a webinar, but there's two commercial bankers in particular that are really keen into the whole clarity engagement aspect for bringing it in for their clients and what have you. Have you had much interaction with commercial bankers and being able to get them inside of that? Are you really engaged in those events?
Yeah, go ahead. And we just started working with the bankers at Mike's suggestion. So Mike called us, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago and started a conversation with Tony and I about, asking who we knew in community banks in particular. And that opened a whole new door for us. Tony immediately knew a couple that he could contact. I did some digging and I found some that I'm working on too. In fact, I think a few of those people are going to be coming to our event next week.
Right.
And the others are in the pipeline. So we're kind of using this event with George as training wheels to the point where we can balance the bike ourselves going forward, and then build those relationships with those bankers. I think, I'm just kind of talking out the top of my head right now, but my sense is they've got the same motives for helping their business clients do better as the wealth advisors would, but maybe with less regulations, right? They can make the recommendations more freely.
Yeah.
It's not so much recommendations, is that they have an interest in having that client bankable and sustainable over time, so
Yes,
they can keep making
right.
money off those folks.
And that is, Jim, you just hit on where to get traction with them, in my experience. And guys, if you have different experience, you'll get a lot. What we've seen is a lot of excitement from commercial bankers initially, and then somebody says, "Yeah, well, son, that's not going to help you make quota." And yeah, Joseph is nodding his head. Why don't you focus on what, focus on the process, which is short-sighted. Bankability and the 85 plus strategic capacity asset class business, those are the businesses that banks kill, m- de minimis risk or severely mitigated risk businesses. So,
Yeah,
Tim,
Jim,
let us know how that goes. Sorry, Eric.
Jim, yeah, no. I just add, my two best referral sources in 17 years have been commercial bankers, but I would say they're in the 2% of commercial bankers. You got to find the right commercial bankers, right? For the most part, commercial bankers, CPAs, and attorneys, generally speaking, are all risk adverse. And so the idea of them introducing somebody else into their relationship is risky, and therefore they're less likely to do it. What you have to find are the ones who really want, we're back to Mike's principles here. You have to find the ones who see the bigger picture and really want to help their clients and aren't just out selling their menu of loans, right? The ones who really want to help their clients are going to introduce you. The ones who are out selling loans don't really care about you no matter what, right? We could all theorize, and George, I love the idea that we're de-risking the business, and it ought to resonate with all these people. The problem is they can't get over their own sense of risk of introducing other people to see that they're going to get a benefit.
Actually,
Yeah.
that's the practitioner's
right.
fault, not the prospect's fault. That's a distinct lack of understanding my book and how it all works, because you have to be able to phrase conversations that take people out of the immediate risk perception, which is real, to your
Yeah.
point, Rick. But so much of this, like, I'm having tremendous success with a commercial bank, new relationship, but I got there by referral. So a lot of this is, how do you get into relationship with that bank? And if you cold prospect a bank and you think that's going to be a fast process of trust, you're an idiot and you deserve all the suffering you're going to get.
Agreed.
Right? So,
Tell us how you really feel, Mike.
so the point being is like, own the top of your funnel, own the way you get introduced to people. And most of these problems change, but it's at the end of the day, like, I'm having success with the bank, and the conversation I had with Tim and Tony was about reframing the conversation explicitly around risk, right? So, like, everybody tries to get there by talking around the issue, about nobody here, but like outside of Growth Drive. Everyone wants to talk about it and talk about benefit. And the number one problem that banks have, you ready, is they have justifiable concern with outside relationships. My work with this bank is on the inside of the bank. Inside the bank, where these business owners are not my client.
Right.
Right?
Mike, I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you. My personal experience with this is that this is a great, first of all, going back to what we always talk about, which is this is always about relationships. So, the key over here is developing a relationship with the bankers, number one. And that usually comes from you offering them something without expecting anything in return. And typically, the way I would approach it and have been successful is, doing an audit of clients. If you have a relationship with a banker
They might talk about some of the clients that, they're kind of on the edge. You're not sure what's going on, what's happening over there, whether they're going to last a lot or not. You could offer them the ability to do a quick assessment on their existing clients and no obligation. The client doesn't even have to know, right? You could, in essence, give the banker the clarity one questions, and they could kind of go through that with their client and give it back to you, give them some feedback, and they'd be like, well, either it's going to be an epiphany for the banker and they're going to see how great it is, and then they'll be able to use it with their existing client, and that kind of thing will develop trust in what you do and how you do it over time that will mitigate what, as Mike appropriately put out there, their, I'll call just straight out, their compliance risk,
Yes.
right? The risk they have about referring somebody out who's going to give them advice that is going to throw their client into all kinds of issues.
Hey,
I
Joseph.
love that approach.
Yeah.
Joseph, the thing that like they're asking, the bank is now asking me to come in and do sales training for all of their commercial reps, right? So the approach was I got referred in by a client of mine that I'm on retainer with because he is the wealth management arm of the bank, right? And so basically, you know what they don't have? They don't have a sales manager. None of those reps have a real sales manager, someone with real commercial sales experience. And I basically come in and I game plan all of their current clients, to your point, doing that quick little assessment, Joseph. This is where they're at, life cycle, stuff like that. Oh man, this business is hot in PE right now. But then I also game plan all their prospects. And so most of the business development is around their deepening relationship to their current clients, them getting new clients. Oh, and you know what? All of a sudden they want me to talk to people. It's so strange.
Yeah, you just become top of mind when something comes across their table. That's just
Yeah.
really what happens.
Yep. And
I love
everybody,
that.
everybody in this call can do that. Everybody on this call, whether you feel comfortable with that role or not, everyone on this call can actually come in and be relevant on biz dev with these commercial bankers. So instead of off putting the pressure on them to define the relationships, Joseph, what you said is absolutely eloquent, right? Like instead of putting the onus on them to find the relationships, put the onus on you because we've got so much more training and support. Put the onus on yourself to help them do biz dev, right? Take that because that's what they're really scared of. They're really scared of how the hell do I introduce someone, like, I mean, I'm just looking on like the real pros on this Zoom, right? That's a lot of pressure for someone that doesn't have our background, that doesn't have our experience to try and introduce you. And usually it means they don't do it or they try too hard and it blows up. Take it off of them. Take the risk off of them.
But,
And I think don't mean to perseverate on this whole issue or whatnot. And number one, between Mike and Joe, so your two comments are fantastic, and I love it. One of the challenges that I am working with a lot of these commercial banking partners that I had is that I've worked with them in the past as their collaborative wealth partner, and so I'm trying to position myself out of just their traditional, oh, I have to refer inside to my wealth partner to, hey, it's in the client's best interest to move out there. And from a banking standpoint, sometimes I've learned from commercial bankers, they might get incented here and there for playing across the water in their own pond, but usually they could care less.
So
And so for me, it's a matter of positioning it outside of, hey, don't go with your inside trusted folks, come to me, or your inside trusted folks, but come to me because of the relationship. And so to your point, that's been probably the bigger challenge for me is to get that paradigm shift of, hey, I'm not just a wealth manager anymore. I'm kind of doing both sides of this and I'll make you look good and make your clients even better. And that's but to what you're talking about right there is exactly it. And I think that's also where like Tim and Tony, I need to reconnect with you guys since we're more localized too, is getting that from an extended aspect of the team.
You know who does this as part of his DNA? And I haven't picked on Ed yet this morning, but Ed does this as easily as breathing, right? Ed,
I think one of the things that I've found, and that is, as opposed to just working with the commercial banker, I work with the commercial banking workout department.
Oh,
Let's talk to the commercial workout department and talk to them when their prospects are moving into that awareness spot where they're saying, things don't
Hide
look
from that
right, the
spotlight.
numbers haven't been perfect. We're getting concerned. That's when I can look at a business and not be the bank, but be a third party that can talk to that owner and say, I understand that things may not be working well with you. Would you like to discuss it? I've got a little questionnaire that might help you pinpoint something that you could be focused on that might just relieve the stress. And, if you start with our opening, shall I say, questionnaire, I don't like to go through all of those questions. I want to ask 3 or 4 of those questions and get them to have to answer them honestly. Don't give me a bunch of BS. Honestly, how many hours are you working at the business a week? How many times do customers cancel because you failed to deliver service, product, or whatever, and or on time? And then the next thing I talk about is, and what's your number one issue with employee turnover?
People
Because that starts to address morale and what's going on there. And if you get those 3 items on the table and the owner starts to talk, they're gonna really unload what's really hitting them. Tony, I
love
saw
that.
you now acknowledging when you're talking to that group of people, you do get frankness because that group, when they identify a company and you can talk to that owner, yeah, you're dealing right with the people that are currently in the hot seat and they know it.
Well, and who was I think it was with Mike, we were talking about fear. And I absolutely love that. And I would just editorialize, those are 3 dimension 1 questions,
Exactly. Yep.
you know?
I
And
don't need to
implied
go
forth,
beyond
like
that.
SOPs, customer satisfaction, people productive and loyal.
Yeah.
And then how many hours are you spending in the business? That's that's the one thing. I was just reading an article about Andreessen, and when he's talking to someone, when he's assessing a company, he's like, I don't want to hear about last quarter. What did you do last week? And he drills down on what they did. What did you actually? Okay, you arrived on Monday. What did you do? And if he hears a lot of bibbity bobbity boop, it's a hard pass. And Ed, you're getting at that exact point. Absolutely.
Ed, I'm curious. I'm curious though. And maybe I'm being stupid for asking this question, but whenever you're focusing on, or as you focused on the commercial bankers, the workout bankers, um, are they sending you? Do they also introduce you to clients who actually can pay? Because my impression would be that the workouts would be somebody who's kind of in financial straits, dire straits, and the bank's already all over them like white on rice, and
So
if they
that's
can't make
why I
their loan
ask,
payments, then
uh, Jim, that's why I ask them to give me the ones that are coming and are looking potentially at becoming an issue for workout. And see,
yeah, gotcha.
they give you the A, B, and C ranking of probability. The ones that are headed right to workout and are going to be next are in their A. Then they got a B group, and then they've got a C group. And there's a weekly credit meeting that goes on and discusses uh, any customer that's moving from one category to the other becomes a
And
hot customer
And
issue.
a good
then they get to
banker gets in the car and goes to the client and says,
exactly.
"Hey,
Yep.
we need to chat because we talked about you in our Monday morning
Yeah.
meeting, and
Exactly.
get ahead of this, man, because we don't." As the banker, 2008, I'm very open about saying, but when by 2010, things went really, really badly. Thank you, the economy, and my inability.
Can I follow up with
But
Ed?
sure.
So Ed, That's freaking awesome. So talk more. Talk more. So the second question is like, because what I'm noticing, and it's earlier in the relationship, you've had some of these relationships, I imagine, for a significant amount of time with these banks. How how did you navigate toward, if you had time, toward more proactive, deeper discovery inside like all the business owners in the bank and be able to proactively select some that were ascending as well? Or did you have an ability to do that?
Great question.
What I've asked, a few of the individual commercial loan people, and that is, uh, list the top 3 clients that you have that are growing at better than 10% a year, and what has their loan, or borrowing demands, is how fast has that been increasing, and has their profitability matched their borrowing demand?
Damn.
Nice.
Transcript moment.
Nice.
Claude is listening. Yeah.
But I think the neat thing about that is you're helping them to realize that growth is not a solution for the lack of increased performance. I mean, Joseph over there is, and he and I, we got enough maturity to understand you can't improve profitability by growing and increasing revenue. That's not a guarantee. That may
Yeah,
be
I
the
see a
worst.
lot of heads nodding. Amen. Yeah.
I mean, a company I consulted with in Virginia, one of the biggest things I did was take a look at their business, and I said, "You need to have a higher earnings, before tax, the EBITDA." And I said, "Let's look at revenue." And I looked at it and said, "We're gonna change your revenue structure." And the owner said, "Well, how?" And I said, I looked at it and said, "You're gonna drop no longer bid on any project less than $100,000. And he said, "Oh my God, that's, if we did that, we'd lost $2.5 million of revenue last year." What happened the next year? They grew by 5%, even though they cut out all those small bids. But the following year, they grew by 15. And their EBITDA went from a selling price that of 1.5 million, they got 8.5 million in 3 years, just because we changed how they structured their target customer objectives.
I can actually give you a specific case I'm working on right now that I actually provided for one of the bankruptcy attorneys and trustees. We're going from 30 million down to 22 million in revenue, and we're going from, you know, below whatever in the red, and we're going to end up in a couple $1 million in EBITDA. And they're looking at it, it's like, how do you go down 10 million and whatever, 8 million in revenue and end up with more EBITDA? The answer is because you're growing in unprofitable products. You've got SKUs and things in the company that not only the cost of goods, the cost to support the entire process is very high. The people cost, the customer service costs, delivery costs, everything's tied to it, the advertising costs, all that overhead expense is actually dragging the company down. So it's absolutely the case that growth doesn't always necessarily translate into bottom line profitability.
Man, that is such
100%. And we admonish it. We admonish in the software. You will be prodded. I mean, the software will prod you to look at profitability by customer and by product, right? We have to understand our revenue, and that goes to quality of earnings.
Hey, Joseph, that is such a hard question sometimes, like to work your client through.
Yeah.
Like, you and Ed have any secrets for how you get that client? Because it's every single financial services firm that I talk with, every single one, we have that exact problem in their client base. Like, and they just
Pareto
panic.
principle.
Well, if they're selling products, it's easy. What I just call it is I call it SKU rationalization. How about if we just look at each individual SKU on its own to see what is it providing to the company?
But these are
What's the bottom line contribution,
these are
right?
fee-based services. That's the problem.
See, I look at it on service hours, and
Same.
I look at, and Jim will recognize it, and that is if your small clients, let's say less than $500,000 or $1 million, our clients are generating 90% of your phone calls each day because the market just went up, the market went down, the market's shifting. My mix is the mix correct. How do you stabilize that group? And I work with one financial planner, and
Yeah.
he doesn't have any client less than 25 million in invested funds in his client base. Yet the client has business that may need the type of service that we perform because he's taking money out and investing, but his business needs some attention because he is too critical on some of the day-to-day things, and he hasn't relinquished, shall I say, effective management to other people.
And this is interesting because this is an exercise that I went through a month and a half ago, where I used Claude, and I had Claude create for me a tool on Excel that helps me just track the amount of time and hours I'm spending for each topic for each client. And so at the end of every day, I'm logging my hours. I'm logging my hours on, this is the clients I worked on. This is the hours this is the amount of time I put in on it. And this is the topic that I was working on for them. And it gives me like 4 different tabs that says, number one, here's how many hours you're spending on this person. Here's the how engaged you are with this person. And then this is the revenue size of that person. And then it gives me a breakdown of pretty much where am I spending my time, exactly what you're talking about. And that's been very enlightening and very helpful in being able to skew my business back towards the more profitable.
Jim, I use that model exactly for my clients, and that's actually how I price my clients. So I have a target for how much time and what are the compensation I'm looking for, my target compensation, and then based on the input, I adjust the price. So, it relieves some of the pressure that Ed, is talking about. That you can only take a client who's over $25 million or, over $10 million or whatever it is, right? The idea really is how much time it's going to take. Because sometimes you can have really small clients that don't take any time, and they're just, you're adding them to the revenue bucket or to the profitability bucket. You can also gonna have clients that are very large and very, very time consuming. I remember from my early years when I used to work at Merrill Lynch, I had a client that was over $10 million, but the guy would call 5 times a day and annoy and harass my assistant over stupidity, over like, a couple pennies here, a couple pennies there. Oh, the calculation of interest wasn't right. And someone like that, you can purge because they're just really not worth the hassle. So,
And it's
Yeah,
interesting.
but I like your model. It works very well for individual pricing.
I think the thing we miss often is the overhead component, not the direct component. It's not the contribution margin, the revenue minus the direct costs, labor, materials, and subcontract. It's missing the overhead component. And, a simple example of that everybody can understand. I know all of us on the call, but just anybody who's listening too, think about a real estate agent, and a real estate agent will say, look, it's not worth my time to sell a $200,000 house because it takes the same amount of paperwork to sell that $200,000 house that it does to do the $1 million house. And yet I get a lot more commission. That's not the time. They're not saying, hey, I had to do more. I had to stand at the house more to sell it. That's the direct labor. It's the overhead part that we often forget to think about, those extra things, special software we have to have for this client. Well, are we attributing that to the client, or are we just spreading it? Are we peanut butter spreading it over everybody? Right. And so it's thinking about the things that cost us that we don't directly do on the client that often gets us to the answers that we're talking about here, and really focusing on that and thinking about that. And Joseph's example of the client who just always calls and takes up his secretary's time, that's not Joseph's time. but it's still annoying and it takes up
It
energy.
still costs money. Hell
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's real money.
Yeah, man. That's a great point, Eric. And I don't know about you guys. I use Toggle, Toggl, to track my time, and it is educational because you know how are you spending your time, guys? Let's do a round of Tim, and then I'd love to hear a round of key takeaways. And yes, Mike, you can go first because I know you're bouncing up and down in your seat.
And
Okay, Tim, fire away, man.
I just had a question for Joseph, going back to your suggestion or your comment about offering to do the audit for the clients of the community banks. Is that something you do, or how would you go about proposing that?
Well, the relationships I have today are very, very narrow, and they've been developed differently. But the basic idea is you're developing a relationship with a banker, with anybody, any relationship that you're working with. Bottom line is they have existing clients. I think it's very powerful when you can approach someone and develop a relationship and have no expectation that they're going to give you anything in return. There's a very uncomfortable thing for most people when you just keep delivering value, deliver. They get to a point where they feel uncomfortable. You don't want to overdo it and make them like they want to avoid your calls, quite frankly, your connection. But if you keep sending them stuff that's helping them, at some point they're going to feel obligated to send something back. That's the business development process that we have in house. Same thing, for in terms of our business is a little bit different than I guess most of everybody else here. But the bottom line is just keep delivering value until you reach a point where the people that you have relationships with really have to send you something in return. They're going to look for things to send you, and and I would add one more thing. It's very powerful when you can turn back and say, yeah, this doesn't really fit my target, or because then they're like, you mean you're not you're not the sales guy anymore. You're not chasing after their sale. You're kind of qualifying them where they're not, you know, they're good enough to do or to have a business relationship with you.
I love that, man.
Great. Thank you.
Outstanding. Look at how this is all lining up. Outstanding. Thank you very much, Joseph. Okay.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna add one more thing. Tim, we always have the assumption that when we, for example, even when we speak, or even for Jim, but when we have a conversation with a commercial banker, that they're in the world of finance, they really understand the things that we understand. So when we talk about risk, the risk isn't so much about you giving advice that is bad. The reason they perceive the risk is because they don't understand what you know. And therefore, if they don't understand it, now they're going to deliver that information to somebody else. They don't understand it. Number one, if the business owner asks a question, they have no idea how to respond. That's probably the worst case scenario for them. They look silly in front of their client. And number two, if the client has any pushback and they don't have any knowledge, so then they're kind of in trouble. So that's part of it. There's that education component, which I personally don't like. I don't mind giving people information and sharing and doing for them, but that's kind of one of the challenges with all of these centers of influence that you deal with. And by the way, that same thing also for accountants. A lot of accountants. I remember said accounting is historical, has nothing to do with FP&A, has nothing to do with forward looking and planning for a business owner. So very often the business owner is looking for advice from the accountant, how to look forward, how to grow, and the accountant may not know how to answer. So you can provide all of them with tools and the ability to interact with their clients. It depends on I guess at the end of the day, you got to make sure that the center of influence has the right pool of target clients that you're looking at, and then just feed them, keep feeding them.
Thank you.
I love that. Thank you very much, Joseph. I know that Mike is very pleased with your perspective.
I was going to say,
Mike, would you have a key takeaway that you'd like to share with the world?
my takeaway is that Joseph just proved that my IP is not original at all. So, I would just say, like, a lot of our conversation today has been reaffirming for me on a deep personal level, right? And so the key takeaway is this: is like when you meet with people, you have a decision. You have a decision to go as a predator or a decision to go as someone who's trying to create. And the takeaway is a combination of what Ed and Joseph said, which is fundamentally, if you have the ability to produce immediate ROI, do that right away using both of the strategies that these two brilliant men, who are not significantly older than me, but might look it. But anyways, but to use that strategy and make it happen, because delivering value in the first meeting sets the stage for everything, and it really is the biggest difference. Don't sell strategic capacity, sell ROI. Strategic capacity is how we deliver ROI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess. Love that. Thank you, Mike. Anyone else have a key takeaway they want to share?
Come to Coffee Klatsch and come often.
Yeah, come early, come often. Yeah, man. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, it's like thank you, Jim. Anyone else?
There was a lot there. I mean, a lot of good stuff. I could page of notes already, and that's before we look at the transcript. But I love the idea of talking to the community bankers about helping their clients be more bankable. I mean, that just in a nutshell is like boom. Now you've got their attention, and it opens the door to all kinds of things. Whether you're going to talk with the people in the workout department or their top 3 growers, as Ed was talking about. I mean, it's just it's like a how-to instead of just a what. Like, hey, go talk with community bankers. Now there's how to go about that in specific ways that conversations we can have.
Would it be okay if I do a quick screen share? I would love to amplify this point, Tim.
How do I look? Is my hair all right?
Your hair is all right. Screens, desktop 2. I want to share this. Go full screen. Let's share. Can you see a single slide with a gentleman addressing a room?
Yes.
Okay, great. This is one of our own. He's a certified exit planner, a BEI member, and a very, he's a great guy. He's out in California.
Yeah.
We helped him build a deck, and Tim and Tony, this will resonate. And if you look at there, you'll count here. We talk about the 7th exit option, and this goes straight to your bank income, and it goes straight to so much of what we've talked about with wealth advisory, with banking, etc. Build the business as an asset class. He's added the 7th exit option, which is to the non-exit. And this is the first time that I've seen that used. He sent me, this is somebody in the room took a picture with an iPhone. He sent it to me. He said, hey, we had generated a lot of leads. He did something similar that we're going to do next week. And Steve Zeller, Current Business Advisors. Build the business as an asset class.
That's a fancy way to say oil well.
Oh, it is a fancy way to say oil well. And and this is resonating, guys. And it's something I think we can all, that's ROI, right? And something that people can latch onto. That's my key takeaway. He said, hogging the mic to the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, George,
go
I'd
ahead.
jump in with
Please.
Mike, I completely agree with you. I think what Ed and Joseph said was really good. I like, Ed, your deep dive on it. I've done lots of work with workout guys. We took one business from losing $500,000 one year to making $500,000 the next year, right? And then spent 9 more years helping them grow their business and position it so they could exit, and they successfully exited at the end of that. So I love your suggestion. I would just humbly add, be careful going in assuming you know what that banker wants. Go ask the banker what they want. Go ask them what their challenge is, what are they struggling with, what's on their mind, and ask them how, you know how you can help them. Ask them to tell you what they need help with. Because the second you go in with the assumption that you think you know what they want, that's where the trouble starts, because you often then deliver something to them which is not what they're thinking about right now or what's top of their mind. And that's when they don't respond the way you expect them to.
Assumption is the mother of all cluster poodles.
Correct.
Yes, Eric.
Yeah.
Yes.
Guys, what a great conversation this week. Thank you very much. I know we're a little over and a few people have dropped. Great discussion. Thank you. I will put I'll put the whole Plod transcript, mind map, etc., in Circle, so that you guys can see. If those of you not using Plod yet, It's not an affiliate. I just happen to think their technology is superb. And on that, guys, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much. Anything I can do to help you, you know where we live. I'm here, happy to help. Okay.
Perfect.
So thank you all.
Thanks.
Have a great week, and we'll talk very soon.
Alrighty.
George.
So long, guys.